All right, guys, thank you for joining me as always. Appreciate it. Interesting. I'm starting to see commercials on Rumble. I've never seen a commercial before. Now all of a sudden I'm seeing a commercial. All right, guys. So thank you for joining me. Scott, thank you for the 5x5. Little John, thank you for the 5x5. Mr. Landfill, thank you for the 5x5. Scott Rush, Evolving Media, Vegan, Dobie, Lexi, thank you for the 5x5. Groundhog, Flown Grown, Eric, Sarita, Base, Colt, thank you for the 5x5. Scott, Joe, Alcohol Prepper, Salty, thank you for the 5x5. Another commercial. Uh, Raccoon, Little John, Rhonda, Maria, Gick, Buy the Book, Williams, Jay No More, Adam, Two Tim, Nomad, Crow, thank you for the 5x5. Ben, Sorsha, again, I'm sorry, thank you for the 5x5. JF, Teddy, Nancy, Adam, thank you for the 5x5. Doc, Adam, Kathy, South, F you all, Beef and Chicken, Patrice, thank you for the 5x5. Adam, Tom, thank you for the 5x5. Brian, thank you for the 5x5. Let's see, Linda, Eyes Wide, Jason, Prep, Rocky, Let's Go, thank you for the 5x5. Uh, Angie Camp, Maria Jackson, Prep to Adapt, thank you for the 5x5 on Rumble. Maria, I'm doing okay. Again, I'm a little taken back by these commercials on Rumble. I've never seen them before, like ever, and now this is the first time I'm seeing it. All right, whatever. And Kurt, thank you for the 5x5. God, thank you for the 5. Oh, Gods. Southern, thank you for the 5x5. Terp Farmer, thank you for the 5x5. Renee, Brian, Laura, Southern Ghost, Joe, thank you for the 5x5. All right, guys. So tonight's live stream is going to build on the video I did yesterday about aliens and God. And there was a couple of more, I guess, added points that I wanted to put to it, because it's not so much about what they want us to believe or what we believe. I'm more not concerned, but I guess I want to talk about what could happen if either or was found to be true, right? And there's a lot to it. Now, a couple of people I know stated that it was brave of me to do a video like this. I don't see the bravery behind it. I talk about, for the most part, what's ever on my mind, right? And that's been something that's been on my mind since I was a kid. And it's always been a question of what if. And I what if everything. I what if the shit out of everything in life. That's all I do. It's sort of a overthinking problem, right? But nonetheless, like I said, I want to build on a lot of that stuff because, people just raise some interesting points or question in the comment section to that video. WTC, thank you for the donation. And yeah, man, it's just something that I would like to touch on. So, Witty Mystic, what I'm getting at is the video I did, I talked about the Bible, aliens creating humans and aliens writing the Bible for us. And that if God doesn't exist and this was made to be true, how bad would things get? Right now, a lot of us believe in God. I don't think, some of us are riding the fence. Some of us don't believe Him at all. Wherever you stand, it's irrelevant. Stop overthinking. It leads to problems. Sword of Allah, I will agree to that. It does lead to a lot of problems. The overthinking part, that is. Yes, it can work in your favor, but it can also work against you, right? So keep that in mind. And I know that, I already know that. So it seems like the chat is already at like full steam ahead. I'm just looking in at some of the comments. I'm like, what? Yeah, Little John. Again, there's so many theories about aliens and why and how come, and it's just interesting shit to talk about. That's all. Even a spacecraft that's out in space, which, to be fair, there are a lot of scientists that think that the 3-1 Atlas is just a comet. That's all it is, right? It's not alien spacecraft. It's not. It doesn't have any nefarious meaning behind it. But there are other people that there's other people. It's like 3 scientists that think that it's a real thing, right? That think it's an alien ship and that it could be attacking us. Now, my question to them is, those that think that it's an alien ship going to attack us, where did they come up with the idea that it was going to attack us and that it meant us harm, right? And so that's a big question. Now, my son's mother did find me information on one of the scientists, and I am going to reach out to him, and hopefully I can get an interview with him, whether that's a live stream or just a video interview, and then I release it later, right? Trump has a Bible, he's an alien. And that's the Melissa. Were you Mighty? Whatever. I think Melissa M was Mighty Mouse. I haven't seen you in a while, if that's the same person. That's the thing. So that's why I'm talking about all of this. There are people that don't believe in aliens. And I did as much Bible research as I can on aliens. And aliens is not mentioned in the Bible at all. There are mentions of strangers, foreigners, and beings or beings from above, if I said that right. And there were 30 mentions of that, but there were no direct mentions of aliens in the Bible. I think, guys, both can coexist. I don't think it's one or the other. I don't think it's demons, and I don't think it's just aliens. I think they both can coincide with one or the other, or coincide together, excuse me. Because I definitely do believe in aliens. Do I think they created us? I don't think so. But the question is always there, right? Because we don't know for 100%. We're not 100% sure. The Y Files. Doggy Guitar. Is that the guy with the talking fish? Because yes, I try to watch that, and that stupid fish and the stupid. I don't want to get started on that because it's just going to piss me off. But I try to watch his show. That's the same guy. And the talking fish is stupid and annoying and childish and dumb and moronic. Yes, I can be childish, dumb, and moronic too, but I can't deal with a talking fish all the time. It's really aggravating to watch that show. He does cover some interesting shit. And the reason why I bring all of this, yes. Okay. All right, that's the guy. Yeah, all right. So the reason why I talk about all of this, because I had always in the back of my head, fuck that. Yeah, fuck that fish. Yeah, it's fucking hecklefish. It's a stupid fish. It's dumb. It's whatever. I get it. To each their own. Busted Beak. Have I spoken to Bear Independent about this situation? Not directly. No. Alien intrusion, unmasking, and deception. Listen, again, there is no definitive proof to any of this and anything I talk about. There's no definitive proof. There's no definitive proof that aliens do not exist or exist. Actually, there's more proof that they do exist, but there's no proof that they don't exist. There's no definitive proof. There is definitive proof that demons do exist. That is for sure. And the Vatican has been holding on to that forever. There are a ton of files, videos, and shit like that about demons existing, people being taken over by demons, and so on and so forth. In fact, we even see them on a daily basis, right? Some of the acts of violence that are going on around the world, I think, are possessions. Again, that is an entirely different conversation that I do not want to get into. But, Jason Seuss. The fish is annoying. Yeah, the fish is very annoying. But again, he does have some good talks on there, and talks about a lot of different shit that's pretty interesting. But again, so again, there's no definitive proof, right? I mean, like, yes, is there definitive proof that God exists? No, there isn't. Do we have that feeling that he does? Because you can get this overwhelming feeling that there's a being, sort of like a ghost, but this presence of God is a lot more stronger than anything else we've ever felt. If we listen, if we give into it. But if you had to like prove that he exists, you couldn't really do it, right? And again, that's why I keep everything. Listen, we know God exists because it's a feeling we have. Like, it's a feeling we have. I don't want to get into that whole thing again. But yeah, it's a feeling we have. So we know that. But if we had to prove it, could we? No. Could we prove that demons exist? Yes. Especially the way people are behaving, the way the savagery is going this day, the look you can see in people's eyes. And yes, Yardbird, you can also say that we are living proof that he does exist. But some scientists will argue that. But there was a good explanation on the TV show Young Sheldon. Very good explanation. And I think that part of that episode, that one part where he's talking to his mother, young Sheldon's talking to his mother about God, and I thought that was the most clever scene in a TV show in this day and age that explained God and the chances of us being where we are. And he broke down the science of it. Like it's less than 1% chance that we ended up in this exact spot in the universe, right? A degree closer or further away, we wouldn't exist. The balance of oxygen and air and everything else is to a point where if it was off by a little bit, up or down, in any of the gases that provide us to breathe, we would be dead or we wouldn't exist, right? So there's all of these things that the TV show pointed out. And it was one of the best scenes. You have to Google it if you can. It's one of the best scenes in a TV show ever created. But then you got scientists that also say, well, this is why it was created. It was by chance. A lot of scientists think it was by chance. There is a group of scientists called Science for God or Scientists for God. They believe in God, but they also entertain the scientific side of everything, right? So you got that to go with. CERN's proved, what is that? No mystics, correct. Reality and God are both inward. The Watchmen, that's the thing. There are too many coincidences. And though some scientists, there's a small group of scientists that think aliens created us, they state that they set up this environment for us, right? But I'm like, but could aliens move a giant planet to this exact location and then create life on it? Or did they seek out the universe to provide, or to seek out the universe to see if there was a planet that could sustain us? There's also that. So again, a lot of questions. And I do this because there's so many questions, and I think it's just an interesting conversation a lot of people do not want to have. Evolution, yes, hope, full of hope. Evolution still called a theory. So is gravity, right? Still a theory. I thought it was proven, and I got into this blown out argument like a few years back, and I looked it up, and gravity's still a theory. So again, it's all of these questions, and it's just a good conversation to have, I think. Because we don't talk about it enough. And then we have all of these alien sightings. We have these drones, these orbs. We have all of this shit in the sky. And I'm like, and then all of a sudden it stopped. We don't hear anything about it. Now it's dead. But now we're talking about this alien craft. And I looked on YouTube, which was a bad mistake. I looked up on YouTube, and YouTube has all of these videos about the rock floating through space. Which, by the way, that rock, what was it called? Umama, right? Or Muamua, excuse me. Oumuamua was the rock that I stated I got wrong. Yes, Silver Sage, like Prometheus. That's how they stated that aliens created us, but whatever. And that was the whole premise of that movie, that what if aliens created us, and how chaos would ensue on this planet. I'm going to get to the chaotic part in a little bit. But I did state something wrong about Oumuamua, which is the alien rock that was a probe. It didn't go into our solar system and back out. It did change directions, and it did speed up when it left our solar system. So it came into our solar system at a speed of, what was it, like 30, 30,000 miles an hour or something like that. I'm just throwing a number out there. I don't know what the exact speed was. But as soon as it left our solar system, it jumped to like 50,000 miles an hour or 60,000 miles. It jumped exponentially and then and it was gone. And they think that that was a probe, right? So again, we don't know. As far as fallen angels goes, guys, angels and aliens, I think, are two totally different things. Again, looking up a lot of the Bible passage for aliens or anything like it, there's nothing in regards to one or the other, right? The fallen angels and yes, Oumuamua sounds like yeah, but it's Hawaiian for scout. If I said that right, it's Hawaiian for scout. So go figure that. Cult. I do not belong to any particular church. I think a lot of churches are corrupt. I think a lot of the people who run these religious groups are corrupt. I think a lot of people who run a lot of religious groups are full of shit. So it's hard to go to a church and follow it. One of the guys, old school guy, he retired a couple years ago. He went to a church out in the Bronx there. Followed this guy, man. He was like he's the best preacher in the world. This guy wound up banging like young gay men, right? That was like his thing that he used to do. And there's all the corruption that you can hear. And there's some good preachers out there. There's some very good priests. There are people on the level. But once the Vatican started becoming political, all of their godly words and sayings right out of the window, right? So, Little John. Outside of that, yes, outside of that, outside of that, it's definitely it's still a crapshoot. What did she say? Sorry. So yeah, that's why I don't follow. So yeah, it's just a conversation to have. Now, the chaos that I talk about. Here's the problem, guys, with believing in angels, believing in demons, or believing in aliens, right? If you believe that aliens are demons, it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant to believing on whether or not it's the chaos that I'm talking about, right? So obviously, right, believing in God is going to get you into the kingdom of heaven, right? Especially if you live your life accordingly. But the chaos that's going to happen behind whether or not we find out aliens created us or God created us is going to present itself as one of the most chaotic times in history. And I do not think, guys, for a second, that God doesn't exist. I just think that we're definitely going to be in a bad times for a long time. And it's not going to be something that's going to happen overnight. At least I don't think so. I could be wrong about that. But I think whatever's going to happen is going to stretch over for a few years. It's not going to be a one and done kind of deal. I know that the timetable in the Bible has often been wrong. I think things have been stretched out longer than that. I'm going to tell you something, man. The last couple of days, a lot of my shit, especially like my iPad and shit's been acting up. I don't know if you guys are having a problem, but my phone, my iPad, just a lot of shit's been acting up in general. All right. Kool-Aid. Yes, I would agree. I would agree with that. Thank you for asking that question on Rumble, but I'm not making that statement on Rumble. Yes, I would wholeheartedly agree with that. You are still more than likely to get molested in school. In fact, look at the teachers, the female teachers, right, that are going after their male students all the time, right? So yes, you have a bigger. People want to blame the church. Kool-Aid, thank you for bringing that up. Or Cool Kid, excuse me. Why do I keep calling you Kool-Aid? I'm sorry. Cool Kid. I thank you for bringing that up because I find it interesting, guys, that Female teachers are diddling kids left and right. They're diddling kids all over the place. They diddle, 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 and nothing is being done about it. There are more teachers that abuse kids than preachers, right? And yet, no one talks about that part of school. No one talks about, everybody's looking at preachers and calling the Catholic community animals and PDOs and this and that. I said, what about the teachers? The majority of teachers out there, especially going back to when we were kids to now, at least when we were kids, it was male teachers, not at least, it was male teachers, few far in between. Then you had scout leaders in the Boy Scouts. Now you have female teachers fucking going at it, man. I mean, like, I've never seen the amount of female teachers doing the shit that they're doing now. Ever. It's not Kool-Aid, it's Cool Kid. I got Kool-Aid stuck in my head because of a TV show. So, sorry. And in the TV show, they're trying to make the movie Kool-Aid with the Kool-Aid Man. It's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen, but they're also making fun of people who created the Barbie movie. So, yeah. But that's why Kool-Aid stuck in my head. Because the teachers are now young kids. Adriana, I agree. And again, with the teacher problem, with the teacher nonsense, is that a lot of these teachers, and female teachers, they're like, I don't like to be called Miss Such and Such. It makes me feel old. Guess what, bitch? You're old. You're teaching kids. You're not cool. You're not supposed to be the cool teacher. You're not supposed to be the, hey, none of that shit. You're supposed to be Mrs. Such and Such, and these are my rules. When we had these rules in place, we had less of these problems. Not that it stopped it at all. We had less of these problems. We had less teachers turning around and, banging their students. Way less. But now all of these teachers are like, I want to be cool. I want you to call me by my first name. You can even come up with a good, cool, nickname for me. You're a fucking teacher. Teach, bitch. And so here we are, and nobody's talking about that. Nobody's looking at the educational system as a whole and going, that's demonic. They're touching kids. But a couple of priests banging some kids and some women, and they're like, the whole Catholic community, the whole Catholic organization is corrupt. And it is, but they make it sound like every last preacher or priest is banging kids. Meanwhile, you have more teachers doing it than priests. No one wants to talk about that, right? The two pages stuck together, man. All right, I'll have to watch that later. But yeah, it's always it's a shit show, man. It's a shit show. I believe they call it ethics. Yeah, ethics went out of the window. It's just, I don't get it, man. And everybody wants to pick and choose their fight and their argument. And I got a video coming out about people fighting for certain things and the wrong things that people are fighting for. And that's going to release on the Angry Truth channel probably this week, if not next week. But there's a lot of problems with this planet. And guys, we are being controlled, right? We're being controlled all the way through. We're being divided all the way through. We got people arguing about aliens not existing and demons. They're arguing about that. Then we got people arguing about the Epstein list, and now the Clintons seem to be getting subpoenaed, and people are arguing about that. We argue about everything, man. And argue about every fucking thing, and I'm just like, when the fuck is it gonna stop? And it's not gonna stop because they want to keep us separated. But the only way, guys, we're gonna know the answer to all of our questions is when we die. That is the only time we're going to find the answers to all of that. We'll find the answers to whether gravity exists, God, aliens, demons, whether Rosie O'Donnell was actually a real person, was that fucking bitch made in the lab, These are the questions that we ask ourselves on a daily basis, How do fat people fucking, I'm talking about 600-pounders walk around without breaking a leg? Those are the secrets of the universe, that we want to know. But, again, I like these questions, and yes, when I hang out with Barrett, and when we do our things, we have our little round table, I ask all these questions because it's impossible to have an answer for all of them. And I am very wary of people that have an answer for every question I ask. Because some question, guys, cannot be answered. Simple. Cannot be answered. Paul, nice going. Um, Very good. Yeah, and I lost my train of thought reading this guy's fucking thing. Oh, yeah, we can't answer all the questions. I'm very worried people have an answer for every question. You don't. You can't. It's impossible. It's impossible to, to answer every question. And every time someone has a question for you about the Bible, if you have an answer, I can't buy it all the time. And Bear has actually said, some of the shit I've asked, he actually said, I don't know. He says, I don't know the answer to that. And I think that's a good answer, right? You sometimes, guys, you have to say, I don't know. All right? And we'll, like I said, we'll know when we die. So, with that being said, guys, I think, guys, either way, chaos is going to break out. If God is proven to be real, if Jesus, the second coming of Christ, actually walks the planet, we're definitely going to see a lot of chaos. I think we're going to see a lot of bad people try to right their wrongs. We're going to see a lot of people being coerced to not joining Christ because Christ could be, fake, and that this is what they really want you to do. If Christ does exist. Yes, Melissa M. I did see that. I thought the Left Behind movie was pretty good, by the way, in that regard. I thought it was pretty good with the whole alien thing, because I think they might be using that this time. Listen, anything to discredit God, evil is going to do, right? It doesn't matter. Again, whether you believe in him or not, they're going to try to discredit him up and down, and they do it all the time. But Victor Hasselblad, it's a nice last name, man. It's a camera I want, by the way. But anyway, but yeah, you can't, like I was saying before, you can't know all the answers, man. Be wary of a person who has all the answers. That's all I'm going to say. If your priest or your fucking, they got all the answers for you, do not trust them. Because the one thing I know for a fact, that is, God is not going to give you all the answers. It's not, and all the answers are not even in the book. Why are they not in the book? Because a lot of this stuff, I don't even think God saw coming. Especially with technology and AI, I don't even think he saw that coming. All right? And yes, God knows everything, but there are a lot of things that I'm starting to believe God might not even saw coming. It's impossible. An all-knowing being knows that, danger's coming, but still allows it to happen. I don't think so. Like I said, I just don't buy it. And that's too easy of an answer. That's the other problem when people go, God just willed it. That's your answer? That's that's a cop-out of an answer. When somebody dies, oh, well, it was God's will, JC, you are wrong. Wrong about what, Lexi? You gotta, when you say you're wrong, could you follow it up with some, oh, wait, JC, me or JC? Oh, the other JC, sorry. She's talking another Christ is not coming back. Listen, again, if you guys think I'm wrong, or like JC had stated that Christ is not coming back, you got to prove that, and you got to back it up with something. You can't just tell somebody they're wrong. That's a very, very, again, easy cop-out of an answer by telling somebody who's wrong, but then you don't provide any fucking, again, the Bible, guys, it doesn't have all the answers. It really doesn't. And the problem with the Bible is, and I told you guys this before, I had a conversation with two guys a long time ago, 20-something years ago. Wow. 25 years ago? We were standing outside, and I watched two guys argue over the Bible over the same 5 or 10 passages. The same 5 or 10. They argued over this and what it meant. And both sides were convicted in believing that they were right, that their answer was right. There's a problem, guys, if you can look at the same passage and both of you think you're right and how you interpret it. That's the problem with the Bible. It's interpreted in a lot of different ways. And the problem with people saying you're wrong, you got to prove it. You got to show the proof. You can't just say you're wrong and then that's it. I'm like, what are we, children? No, you gotta fucking, you gotta provide the how I'm wrong. And again, me believing in God and looking at the Bible as proof, I've watched enough people argue and fight over the proof. In fact, guys, look at all of the denominations that developed out of the Bible. Look how many people broke up and did their own thing and have their own religions. Are you personally go to Lakewood, New Jersey? Why? Again, five Zout, five Zealot, Aslo, whatever your name is. That's my point. We don't know. There's again, outside of the feeling that God exists, we do not know. Sorry, Johnny, we do not know for a fact, that it is what it is. We're following a book, and we're going off of feelings. But my point is, guys, is that we have to be careful of when we say shit like, "Oh, that's not true. This just doesn't exist," or "It does exist." You got to have proof as to why. Rhonda, yeah, that was the part. So anyway, guys, excuse me. So here's the major problem with the whole alien thing, right? So a lot of people don't talk about this, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to get red flag for this, but whatever. One of the things that I started looking into was if there was proof or enough proof that people believed that aliens created us, we would see mass groups of people taking themselves out. And we saw it with the what were the people what were they wearing? What the hell were they wearing? Were they wearing Nikes, right? White Nikes, and they drank some shit, Tang or some shit, and they said the mothership was here to pick them up, and they put sheets over themselves, they dressed in their Sunday's best, they had their Nikes on, a Converse or whatever it was, and they just passed away. It was, I forgot what was the name of it. You guys know. And so anyway, we had that problem, yeah. So again, Francine, you have to come up with the proof of that. You can't just say, oh, like, yes, the Bible and God is a relationship. It's not a religion. It's not a following. You're not supposed to follow. You're supposed to feel this, and we do. But Heaven's Gates, thank you, Laura. Heaven's Gates, thank you, Flown Grown. Scott, thank you for that. Right, those people. We will see, guys, mass people offering themselves if enough people believed that aliens created us. And it was the Hail Bob comment, right? That's what it was, the Hail Bob comment. And people like, we're going to get on that mothership. Yes, black Nikes, white swoosh. Thank you again, Laura. I thought it was white Nikes. Whatever. Yeah, so we have people that are going to do that shit, right? I don't know if we're going to have this problem with this 3-eye Atlas comet passing by, if people are going to think that this ship or comet is going to pass by and that it could be a ship. I don't know if people are going to react to that and do the same shit. Don't know. But the problem with, if you get enough people convinced that aliens do exist, you're going to have that problem. You're also going to have the problem if they found out that God exists. You might have a problem with people offering themselves so that they can walk in the kingdom of God, which, again, a lot of people know suicide is not the answer. Taking yourself out is absolutely not the answer. But again, it's be careful, guys, of when you say shit like that, because you have to back it up. There are certain people that need proof, and again, we all know that God exists. And someone just said, I think it was Trevor or Trevin, that said something about the Bible is factual. How do we know the Bible's factual? Again, I believe in God. There's a side of me that looks at the Bible. I'm like, how do we know that everything in that was factual? It was written by man, and man is the greatest storyteller and liar on this planet. In fact, Billy the Kid, we'll talk about him real quick. Billy the Kid was a cold-blooded killer. So was Jesse James, right? And especially Jesse James. Jesse James was a motherfucker. But the way they wrote Jesse James in books here in the East Coast, if you will, right? It looks like, what if God created? Sword of Allah. That's a fair question too. What if God created aliens? Listen. There's a side of me that thinks that God created everything in the universe, aliens included. We're not. This is not a one-off, right? He didn't just create us. He probably created other species out there, if there are other species out there. But again, that's another conversation for another day. But listen, I think a part of me thinks that the Bible, because it was written by man, a lot of it was folklore, a lot of it was tall tales. There was some truth to it, but I think there might have been some lies. Not lies, but misrepresentations. Let's put it like that. And again, when I talked about Billy the Kid and Jesse James, over here in the East, he was a hero. Bonnie and Clyde, two cold-blooded killers. Heroes by the way it was written by morons who wrote it. So when you look and understand writing and how people are easily manipulated, what if we are easily manipulated by this book? That's all I'm saying. That's the only question Google is the mob. That's the only thing that I'm stating about the Bible. Other than that, God being real, yeah. There's been some things that have happened that could not be a coincidence. Can't be. Not at all. I don't believe for a second that some of the miracle shit that happens was a coincidence, or it was the body slowing itself down, or like this kid back in 2000. Some of you know what I'm going to talk about. The diver who was without oxygen for, what was it, an hour or two underwater in the freezing cold. And they found him. They got him out of the water. They revived him. He came back to life. They said doctors and scientists could not figure out why he survived. And when I was watching the movie, all I thought was, God. God saved him. Now, I hope this kid fucking, creates the cure for cancer or some shit, but I thought that was pretty cool, right? Again, you have shit like that happens, and you're like, that has to be God. There's no way this kid could have survived underwater for that long with no air. And it was a good movie, and they did a documentary on it as well. I forgot the name of the movie, but Woody Harrelson's in the movie, and I thought it was pretty good. Mia's like, get educated, you're very misinformed. Again, Mia, you got to prove it. You can't just state that. And I've read enough of the Bible to understand that a lot of it was written by man. And that's where the problem lies. Men lie about everything. Look at the Catholic religion. Look at all of the lies they told us over the last few hundred years. And we believed a lot of this shit. For example, and this is going to definitely piss a lot of you guys off. This is where my question of the Bible being written, it became a thing. Is Jesus is not white, blonde hair, blue eyes. Yet, and it states that in the Bible, that he's not blonde hair, blue eye, right? Well, hair like wool, bronze colored skin, the whole 9 yards, right? But yet, people who read the Bible still go by the blonde hair, blue eyes Jesus. So now, tell me if am I full of shit? And Mia, when you talk about you're misinformed, get informed, I could guarantee you money that you still have that fake Jesus on your wall. Guarantee you. I will bet my bottom dollar. So, again, if you're going to get educated, you're going to look into the Bible, you're going to, read about it, you got to understand that a lot of it was written by man. And we could be lied to about everything. Adriana, thank you. He was Middle Eastern. And yes, he was not, someone said, no, Christ wasn't black. All right, let's stop that there too. Let's not go, I don't want to go too far with that. He was Middle Eastern descent. He wasn't black. He wasn't white. Right? And again, people believe that bullshit. And then Maria's like, you're so wrong. Sorry. She goes, sorry, you're wrong. But I just told you that if you're talking about Christ, he isn't white. But I bet you believe he's white. And the problem is the conviction of the Catholic Church that put all of this into our heads and solidified this shit to make it like, to make it like concrete in a lot of people's minds. Was the fake Jesus was a Pope weirdo son. I heard that before, but I don't know anything about that. I'm not going to get into that. I mean, obviously, if you have links for me, send it to angrypepper@yahoo.com. But yeah. Well, listen, Mia is entitled to say what she wants to say. I'm not gonna, listen. She's not wrong. I'm not wrong. Nobody's wrong in this conversation. We're all throwing shit out there and seeing what sticks. But he's the only way, truth, and the life. Miles, I get that he's not a religion, but the way the Catholic Church made it so. In fact, here's how corrupt the Catholic Church is. Look at all of this shit the Catholic Church is allowing to exist. Right? Mia goes, you don't know what you're talking about. Again, you are the same person that believes that, Jesus is blonde hair, blue eyes. So do not tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. And I can see you're getting upset, and you're entitled to get upset because I'm hitting a nerve with this conversation. The problem is this conversation needs to be had, right? And a lot of people don't want to have this conversation. People want to go idly by and think that, whatever you read in the Bible is it. It's not it, man. It can't be. And yes, again, with the whole, with everything that was written in the Bible, there's got to be a lot of wrong shit in there. I'm sorry. There's got to be a lot of wrong shit in there. And there's got to be a lot of right shit in there. Who knows? Jewish, wake up. I don't know what she's talking about. I don't even know if she's talking to me at this point. Well, yeah, guys, you got to, with the one word shit, please, come on, elaborate a little bit. Just give me a little wiggle room with, what you're talking about, And I know that because by the time you guys hear what I say, it's 30 seconds. So you got to, refresh my memory a little bit, man. Just a tad. But again, man. People even worship. Okay, so Mars, thank you. Thank you, Mars, for bringing that up. People are easily manipulated. And that's the one thing I understand, man. Growing up, watching everything we watch go on. People are easily manipulated. People are convicted in their ways no matter what is actually out there or what the truth is. They're going to be convicted in their ways. And I say this because look at the Mr. 19 event. Nice one, Silver Sage. Look at the Mr. 19 event. Look at how many people would have died on the cross with the arm ticket. When people were like, this thing is going to save your life. If you don't take it, you're a piece of shit. And they were so convinced that this thing was going to turn the tide of Mr. 19. They were so convinced that they were being mad at you. They were threatening your jobs. People were unfriending you or stop being friends with you, stop talking to you because they were super convinced that that arm ticket was going to save your life. And in fact, it didn't because we're easily manipulated. And yes, guys, I think the Bible has a lot of manipulation in it as well. You got Jim Jones. Thank you, Lenora, for bringing that up. You got Jim Jones. You got David Koresh. You got all of these people who easily manipulate you to believe in one thing or the other. Now, the one thing I know for sure is that, yes, God exists. And there's a lot of things that God does that, again, either I witnessed or I've heard stories of people witnessing. And wrong. Mia goes, wrong, he's not a Jew. Mia, you're dumb. Listen, I'm not a Bible go-getter. I even know Jesus was a Jew. You are dumb. Sorry. That's it. Conversation's over with you. You just, again, Mia is a classic example of being manipulated her entire life. She's a great example of that. Again, we were all manipulated during Mr. 19, right? We were all sold a lie that this thing was going to, yeah. No shit. Nice one, Mouse and Sister. I can barely read that. I'm sorry, but yeah, that's a good one. I like that one. Again, guys, we are easily manipulated. That's the whole bottom line. Whether it's Allah or Hindu, gods, we're all being manipulated. But we all know one thing. We all know that there's a being, God, that exists, that's telling us, or not telling us, excuse me, showing his feeling of love. We know that much. But all the other bullshit that's been stuffed into the Bible, I think a lot of it's bullshit. And when you ask people, and this is how you know people are manipulated, because I saw the same thing with COVID, with Mr. 19. When you ask people about the events that happen in the Bible, I think some of the events that happen in the Bible, in fact, happen. But I also think a lot of the shit that happened in the Bible was embellished. A lot of things. Not everything, a lot of things. I want a free cheeseburger too, damn it. But he made that burger look disgusting. I don't want to get into that because it's going to piss me off. But yeah. He changed his name to Maya. Yeah, listen, man. We're just easily manipulated. And you have to question everything, guys. Again, someone brought up Jim Jones. Look at Jim Jones. People, and David Koresh, they thought that they were the next Messiah. At least Koresh thought he was the next Messiah. And Jim Jones was like the next, I forgot what he said he was. And people followed him down to Guyana. They uprooted their lives because they believed in this man's word. And there was no talking to these people, the Jim Jones people. There was no talking to them. You couldn't talk them out of moving down to Guyana. Was it Jonestown? You couldn't talk them out of that. All right, Mia, thank you for the good debate, I guess. Whatever. So these people were, and they were convinced that Jim Jones was the next Messiah, right, or God, or whatever it was. People thought that Koresh was the next God. He was the next Messiah. They believed these people because of the things they said, because they knew the Bible so well. And the Bible, guys, you can know the Bible in and out, and you can manipulate people with the scriptures. And I have fucking seen it firsthand. Yeah, Adriano, there's a Jonestown, thank you. It's Jonestown. There is a documentary on it. I didn't know until a few years ago that the whole Jim Jones thing, that they actually offed a lot of people. They were able to get like a couple of hundred people to drink the Kool-Aid, and then those that were watching everybody die around them, choking on their own vomit for the most part, they were like, no, we're not doing this. And then they started letting shots go. They were going after everybody. I was like, holy shit, I didn't know that. I thought everybody drank the Kool-Aid. No. They only got like a few, I want to say 100 or maybe close to 200 people to drink it. Or no, maybe it was 50 people. They had a nice amount of people drink it. And as people were waiting online to get their cup of Kool-Aid, they were watching people die right in front of them. They were like, what the fuck? And then they I'm not drinking that. And then Jim Jones was like, yo, you gotta fucking, if you don't drink it, we're gonna off you. And they wind up shooting a lot of people. And then everybody else got shot, and only a few people survived. I forgot the number, but it was a very small amount of people that survived that whole incident. It was crazy. They even had guards that were like, I'm not shooting these people, and they ran off too. It was crazy. It was bananas. It was a good documentary, but I didn't know all of that shit went down. Yeah, Silver Sage. That's the thing. Again, this conversation, was from Indiana. Okay. Again, this conversation is just to have this open conversation and shit that could happen. I know Johnny 308's like, fuck this conversation, I'm done. I get it. But anyway, again, guys, the whole, God not existing, aliens, I think that would be, especially if the alien thing is, what you call it? The Jim Jones is a CIA operation. Crazy backyard. I heard that before too. I did hear that, and I was like, really? I'm trying to still understand how that was a CIA operation. Like maybe I was missing something. Was it 900 people? Was it that many? He killed 900 people. No shit. Right. So then it was a few hundred people that drank the Kool-Aid. It might have been like 200. It wasn't even half of them. I remember that much. But I remember like when it kicked in, 918 people died. Thank you, Happy. I remember when it kicked in, the people who were online were like, no, and they wind up, again, offing everybody else with their rifles and shit. I remember this one lady, she said she watched a mother and daughter get killed. Actually, scratch that. Excuse me, sorry, that's what happened. So a bunch of people drank it willingly, and then remember the mother-daughter was waiting online, and they watched people dying, and they were like, no, we're not drinking this. And they held guns to people's heads, and then they made them drink that some more, and then people were like, absolutely not, and then they were getting shot, and that's what it was. And there, again, you got to find the what you call it. It's an incredible story. The whole thing, how he started in California, some shit like that, San Francisco, whatever it was. He started there. He amassed a following there, and then he ran for some kind of political position, but he lost. So he's like, fuck this. I'm going to Guyana. Out of all places, he goes down to Guyana. He starts recruiting and amassing more people to follow him. He had a huge following before he left California, wherever it was, San Francisco, Los Angeles, wherever it was. He winds up going down there and getting more people to believe in his shit. And then he turns around one day and he goes, oh, you know what? We have to meet our maker or something like that. I'm like, what? And then all hell fucking broke loose. And then there was a neighboring town that had received word that what was going on there, because a couple of survivors ran to the neighboring town, which was like, fucking 10 miles away or 5 miles away, whatever it was. And they get there, they jump in their vehicles, they're armed to the teeth, they ride in, and they see this bullshit unfolding. They got there as a lot of it was unfolding, and there was actually a shootout or a couple shootouts with some of the surviving guards that was still behind. But yeah. Do your due diligence. Do your dick research? I don't get what that means. Yeah, a bunch of people tried to escape and were shot. Yeah, but there were a lot of people that did escape, prep or ever later. And again, they went to the neighboring town. Again, I heard this story like 10 years ago. So, yeah, it's a bit foggy. But yeah, it was definitely an interesting story as it all unfolded. Because again, I didn't know that many people. I thought everybody drank the Kool-Aid. No, a lot of people wind up being fucking capped. They got a cap in their ass. Book called Temple's People too. Yeah. Scott Rush, 21. Everybody wants the whole orb thing. Like, what was all that about? And then it just stopped, right? Bobby Broadway said, "Who got away? The people of Jonestown got away. Some people got away. Not everybody. Did they? They made a movie out of the Jim Jones thing. Did they make a movie? Because I missed it then. And I'm a movie snob, and I missed it. But yeah. Listen, again, not my normal live stream, but we got 5 minutes left. So again, with all of this shit going on with the aliens and God, and I think we're definitely being coached, or many people are being coached into believing that God doesn't exist and that it's going to be aliens that do whatever they do. Now, there was an interesting theory. that I'm not that I'm entertaining, but I thought was pretty cool. That if the rapture happens, they're going to blame the coroner. How were there? Everybody had a shot from a needle. The hell are you talking about, chicken man? Anyway, and so there was a theory that if the rapture does happen, they're going to blame aliens, and they're going to be like, aliens abducted everybody, and that's going to be their answer, because they don't want doesn't want anybody to believe in God. Now, the one thing I know, guys, is evil exists. We all know that. Evil is out there. Some of us have seen it. Some of us have watched it. Some of us have read about it. We have known that evil exists. If evil exists, then good has to exist. God has to exist, right? And so the good and evil battle is actually taking place as we. Sunny days. A lot of people are talking about the rapture, so I am not happy about that. But a lot of people are talking about it, and again, the one theory is that if the rapture is going to happen, they're going to blame aliens for the rapture and say that they were abducted. That was a theory that I heard. I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. That's an interesting theory, you know. Blue Ridge, thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. And NJ Prepper, thank you for the donation earlier. That's why they let all the bodies stay up in the heat to cover up. Yeah, but cover... Okay, Crazy Chicken, what are you talking about now? You're talking about something completely... I don't know what you're talking about anymore. They prep the masses for this. And yes, guys, they're trying to get people ready for whatever happened. The orb shit, I don't know what that was about. I mean, like, you know, like, what's his name was saying? He wants answers. Everybody wants answers. But the crazy shit, guys, again, is... Here goes the manipulating part. The manipulation thing took a hold because, like lemmings or goldfish, lemmings we follow and goldfish we forget. No one's talking about the orbs anymore. We are. This community is, right? Other communities are talking about it. But the masses out there, they're not talking about it anymore. They don't care. They're on to the next thing. The powers that be, the elites, they know that they can manipulate us by switching the storyline or switching the narrative as they please. Again, they sold us a narrative during Mr. 19, and how many arguments did you guys get into with family members and friends over the whole Mr. 19 event? How many of you got into arguments over whether or not the arm ticket was going to work? Sunny Days, thank you for the donation. Right? We got into this argument because people were manipulated and they completely and utterly believed that this bullshit was real. Right? And so now, I asked the question that for everything that's in the Bible, how do we know what's real and how do we know what's not? Because we could have been easily manipulated by a lot of the shit in there. Again, the one thing I know is that God exists, but everything else after that, especially when the Vatican got involved, how the fuck do we know it's real? Right? The Vatican lied to us about everything and anything. The Vatican hides a lot of secrets that I mean, I wouldn't even know where to start. Right? So we are. A groundhouse said, I lost friends. Rhonda, thank you for the heads up. A lot of people lost friends over this shit. Again, because we were manipulated, because we believed in something that did not fucking work. Right? Whether Mr. 19 exists or not, you know, I think it did to a point. But I also think, guys, that we were lied to about the amount of people that passed away. I think that, yes, we did see bodies stacking, but I think they manipulated those numbers to make it look worse than it really was, than to have people fall in line to take an arm ticket that they didn't need, that did not work. That's what I think what Mr. 19 was in a nutshell. I think people did pass away, but I think they definitely drummed up the numbers, because how are we going to know for sure how many people actually passed away? You think they're going to let us count the bodies or see them? Absolutely not. But if you saw a few bodies on camera, you were like, yes, they had to be real, because we were manipulated. It's easy to manipulate people, guys, with the counts of people that passed away, because you never have to show it. Because what kind of savage would you be to want to see the bodies? Guess what? I'm that savage. I wanted to see those fucking, every last body that was fucking wrapped up to make sure they got the count right. Base, man, thank you for the donation. I'm going to head over to the Angry Truth channel and piss off some more people over there, because why not? Yeah, listen. I know that this is going to cost me subscribers, but I think this is just an interesting conversation to have. That's all. Other than that, guys, thank you for joining me. I will see some of you on the Angry Truth. I will see the rest of you guys next week, Tuesday, for those of you that are still talking to me. Good night.